Hi, this is Steve Wells, and this is our series of Set for Life of using simple energy techniques to deal with everyday life stresses and worries and problems and negative emotions, and also to achieve your positive life goals. And today what I want to do is to pick up on a distinction I made in our last session of working directly versus indirectly on problems. We've actually found that there are two ways that you can get results with tapping. One is where you focus directly on the issues and problems and feelings, and you work through all those different parts of problems. So problems can have parts or what's commonly called aspects. And those different aspects of the problem could be, for example, let's say you have a problem with public speaking, could be all of the different things that you worry about that might happen. They're all different aspects. Could be the feelings that you have in your body, they're different aspects. Could be your past experiences where maybe you had a problem you presented in front of the class and you got laughed at. That might be another aspect. And there might be a bunch of those things. And so with tapping, you can work through each of those aspects and you can follow all of the different feelings and thoughts and memories and so on when you're applying the tapping. We've also found that you can get results with indirect tapping. And this is one of the great things about SET, because with indirect tapping you just do the tapping and you get enough tapping happening so that you get shifts starting to happen, and a lot of your problems can settle down without you even having to do focused direct work, without having to be clever, without having to be your own psychologist or your own therapist. Things can just get better for you. And some of this is just basically just tap. Just get the tapping happening in your life, and in some cases you may need a fair bit of it to get things to start to settle down. So we recommend that you do the tapping daily. So how do I just tap? You just tap on the points without having to think about anything, without having to focus on anything, without having to try and identify all the parts of your problem. You just get enough tapping happening, and we call this process energy toning. Because our belief is that over time you're tuning and toning your nervous system in a kind of emotional fitness. So I say to my clients, look, if this is your stress and this is your good life energy, what we need to do is we need to tone down the stress in your system and tone up your good life energy. Well, the tapping does both. So when you start tapping, it's already been shown that the tapping will actually reduce the stress chemicals in your system. So as you're tapping, the level of stress in your system is coming down and your good life energy is starting to flow through your system, through your body, because this is a body process and it has a great psychological backwash, positive effects on thoughts as well as feelings. So as you're tapping, this is happening. Now, if you've got big problems, you might find that you do this one time and then you switch back. And so what you need to do is to get enough of this happening so that this progressively, the stress tones down and the good life energy tones up. And that can happen if you do the tapping on a daily basis and you get enough of it into your system. So a lot of people who are doing various tapping techniques, we find that they just aren't getting enough tapping into their system. So how do you do this? You add the tapping to your day. Now, I can be tapping right now, but this kind of tapping, as we've already mentioned, is not the kind that you're necessarily going to take out in public. Alright, well then the challenge is, if the only time you tap is when you're sitting at home, you're not going to get enough good stuff happening. So we want to take the tapping, like this fingertip tapping, out into the day, and we want to add it to our daily routines. So as I walk in the morning, I'm just tapping on the points like this. Now I can also just touch or rub or hold the points, so there isn't any real need for me to be doing anything that's even remotely conspicuous. Then you want to add the tapping to your daily routines. You can tap while you're watching television, you can tap while you're on the phone, you can tap while you're... a lot of our clients tap while they're on the toilet. I've been told that these points, particularly the ones up around the top of the eye here, actually facilitate good bowel movements. And I've heard that from at least 3 or 4 different sources, so it seems fairly reliable. Give it a go yourself. Just get the tapping happening into your day. You can do 2 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 3 minutes there. My wife taps every time she gets to a red traffic light. Apart from the frustration that's often in those situations, It's just another reminder to get the tapping into your day, and as you do, you're progressively tuning this down, tuning your good life energy up. Apart from releasing the stress chemicals, tapping is also releasing positive chemicals that are going through your system. The more of it you do, the more good stuff that you're going to be thinking and feeling. Alright, enough for today. See you next time.